Then in verse 4, he's going to turn to fathers, and he says this: Fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and the instruction of the Lord. So this is a challenge, I think, and it is specifically to fathers. Can it apply to mothers? Yes, but the Greek word is patre, which is, as it sounds, fathers, right? Papas, whatever. So this particular encouragement is to men who have children, and it's to not exasperate your children. Do not provoke them to anger. Now, can moms provoke their children to anger? I'm sure they can, right? But this is specifically to fathers. Why? Because fathers in general and men in general, we talked a little bit about type A and type B personalities and how different people can react, and so I want to be sensitive to that. But men in general, especially young men, are teeming, with vim and vigor, with testosterone, right? What does testosterone do in men in general? Oh, it builds muscle and bone structure. Yes, we're all familiar with the big debate right now. It can make them aggressive. Higher testosterone men will be more aggressive, right? We're told that pride is the peculiar sin of Satan and the peculiar sin of young men. And so especially for a father, you can, I'm speaking generally, fall into a place where you say, this kid will not reign over me, right? No, you did not do this. There's no way that just came out of your mouth, right? And we can have a pride response. And when we have a pride response to our children, what's the follow-up to that? Now you get crushed. You mouthed off to me? You said that to me? Now I'm going to dominate you, and you are going to learn what happens when you challenge your father. Anybody ever experienced that? Any fathers ever experienced that? Right? Where it can become this thing. And so we respond as fathers from a negative place out of pride, and we think that we'll bring our children under subjection. The thing is, that will work in the short term, right? It's pretty easy to make a kid obey you, right? If you're 5'1" or taller, and you bend down and get in their face and say, you're going to do this, and you're going to do it right now, what's the most likely outcome? They're probably going to do it, right? But instead, what you've instilled in them is wrath. You've gotten them to do what you wanted them to do with wrath. And number one, that will only work for so long, right? Because one day, they'll be as big as you. Or one day, they'll be free of you. And the worst thing we could possibly imagine as fathers will happen. They will be done with us, right? Because we reigned over them. We dominated them. We forced them to obey. And that is one of the most broken ways to raise a child. Because it's not even remotely, it's not even remotely what we read, right? That's not being careful. It's not being circumspect. It's not being gentle. It's not being humble, right? And so James puts it this way. Actually, let's turn there. In the book, in James's letter, not all men may struggle with this, but many do, including myself. And just roll with me for a minute, but in James 1, verse 19, he says this: My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to become angry. Slow to become angry. Dads, we don't want to relate to our children in anger. If the basis, I'm not saying there won't be times where you'll be angry, but we don't relate to our children based on the anger, right? Based on pride, based on getting our way, based on making sure that they do what we say they should do. That's not how we want to operate. Do we need to make sure that they do what they need to do? Yes. But we don't go about it with brute strength. We want to listen. We want to hear. What are they saying? Why are they saying it? Right? I'm not saying we don't institute discipline. The Bible is very clear about spanking. Not abusing, not flying off the handle, not raging. That is all sin and inappropriate. But very clear about spanking. It is highly recommended throughout the Scripture. For rebellion. That's it, for rebellion. But and we ought to be those that are quick to listen. Verse 20, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. See, there's a little lie, and I think it happens a lot in men. And we think to ourselves, through my dominance and my bringing my children into subjection, I can make them and they will be righteous. But the reality of the Scripture is very clear. Discipline, yes. But anger, it is incapable of developing in a child God's righteousness. So we got to tuck that away. That anytime we feel like I'm just going to, we got to take a step back as dads and go, wait a minute. Remember we talked about 2 weeks, or last week and 2 weeks ago? In every relational opportunity, what do we ask? What do I want to happen here? And we answer it honestly. If I'm a dad and I'm upset, something's happened, and I'm angry, I need to stop and say, what's happened here? And what do I want to happen? Do I want my kid to grow up knowing Jesus, knowing that I love them, knowing, whatever? Or do I just want to get my way? It's really easy to get your way in little children. But the fruit of that will be mass destruction later in life. It'll be a severing of relationship. It'll be everything we don't want as parents. So we have to be careful. We don't relate to them. He's going to go on there and he says, verse 21, therefore, get rid of all moral filth and the evil that is so prevalent, and humbly accept the word planted in you, which can save you. And don't merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror, and then after looking at himself, he goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do.